الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين بهم نتولى ومن أعدائهم نتبرأ إلى الله. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. It's ayah number 18 from Surat Maryam. قالت إني أعوذ بالرحمن منك إن كنت تقيا قال إنما أنا رسول ربك لأهب لك غلاما زكيا قالت أنى يكون لي غلام ولم يمسسني بشر ولم أكو بغيا. Now the first one, which is ayah number 18, there the Almighty says that she said, I seek the protection of the merciful, the beneficent from you. Should you be God-weary, meaning that keep away from me, in kunta taqiyya. قال إنما أنا رسول ربك لأهب لك غلاما زكيا. It is the time when the spirit, the angel, he comes to Hazrat Maryam and she is astonished at seeing him. He said, I am only a messenger of your Lord, that I may give you a pure son. She said, قالت أنى يكون لي غلام ولم يمسسني بشر ولم أكو بغيا. She says, how shall I have a child, seeing no human being, nor anyone has touched me, nor have I been unchaste. Now here there are quite a few things we need to learn from these three ayat. The first one is the term zakat that was used, or the term zaki that was used in this ayah. Zaki, it's from zakat, which means purity, growth, barakah. The next term was baghiya, in walam aku baghiya, when she said that walam yamsasni basharun walam aku baghiya. Baghiya here means I have not been an adulterer, nor anyone has touched me. In this surah, on many occasions, this has been mentioned that a child is a gift from the Almighty Allah. In the same surah, in the next ayah that we will see, ayah number 19, where the Almighty says that Isa was gifted to Maryam, alayhim as-salam. In the ayah number 49 of this very surah, there the Almighty says that the gift of Ishaq and Yaqub was given to Ibrahim, alayhim as-salam. Another ayah, ayah number 53 of the same surah, here says that Harun was gifted to Prophet Musa alayhi salam. And ayah number 7, which we had just recited in the past few days, there says the good news was given to Zakaria that he will be gifted with a child. So a son, a daughter, a child, an offspring, it's a gift from Allah. It's a hiba. Hiba means gift from Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. Now the messages that we get from this ayah is that chaste people, they worry and shake by the mere thought of a sin. Where Hazrat Maryam, when the angel comes to her and then says that I have come to give you a son on behalf of God, and there she is chaste, she worries and she shakes. She says, قالت إني أعوذ, that I seek refuge in Allah, I seek refuge in God. And then the mercy of Allah is the best refuge, it's the best haven and the best support, where it says that A'udhu bir-Rahman, I seek refuge in the merciful God. That's a lesson to us also. This ista'adha, that is seeking refuge in God, it has to be there in our lives, in everything. When reciting the Holy Quran, when we say A'udhu Billah Minash Shaitanir Rajim, all other tasks and affairs, when you worry that Shaitan or Iblis or the evil among the creation, among the men and jinn, if they are to cause you any harm, you need protection. And that isti'aza, that protection can be sought by Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So the mercy of Allah is the best refuge, it's the best haven and support. A'udhu bir-Rahman. And then what she says is that one must not enter one's personal space without prior notification, without prior notice. So the moment she sees the angel, she is stunned, she is astonished. She says, A'udhu bir-Rahmani minka. I seek refuge in God from you. Now the other message we get from the ayah is that a man and a woman staying alone in one place, that is dangerous. The third one will be Iblis. So it applies to everyone. There's no age limit to it. Anyone who can understand good and bad, and the two, they are not mahram to each other, they are not permitted to stay in that place alone. They cannot. Alright, now in forbidding from wrong, we need to seek help from the religious compliance, that is this ghayrat dini that we have. In kunta taqiyya. Here Hazrat Maryam, she says when she wants to forbid the angel who has come to her, she wants to forbid him, says, keep away from me, in kunta taqiyya. That is, if you are muttaqi, if you are God-wary. That is that religious compliance that she has. With that she gets help, saying, forbidding him to keep away from her. Now the other message we get from this ayah is that taqwa is the way to chastity and protects one from sinning. In kunta taqiyya, when it said, in kunta taqiyya, it means if you are God-wary. Now, to be away from any accusation or worry, introducing yourself is also important. So here when the angel comes and doesn't want to be accused, doesn't want her to be accused as well, the angel introduces himself, says, Innama ana rasulu rabbiki, that indeed I am the messenger of your Lord. So the angels, it isn't as such that they are responsible only to reveal and to communicate between man and God, but at times you find angels, they do come to fulfill a task, to perform something, to perform a duty. So it's always not communication and message delivery, but it's sometimes to they act as a mediatory doer of actions. Here the angel is Rasul Rabbike le'ahabillaki ghulaman. So I am a messenger, an envoy of your Lord. I've come here to give you the son, the child. So it's not a communication of a message, but it's a delivery of a baby to Hazrat Maryam salamullahi alayha. The other message we get from this ayah is that being blessed with a child, it's good. It is a value, it is a merit that a person can have, that he has children after him who will survive. But above that, it is to have a chaste, pure child, rather than just having a child. A child that is faithful, a child that is pure, a child that is chaste. Says in this ayah, لَأَهَبَ لَكِ غُلَامًا زَكِيًّا. I'd come to give you a son, a pure son, a chaste son. The next ayah, قال كذلك قال ربك هو علي هين ولنجعله آية للناس ورحمة منا وكان أمرا مقضيا. He said, so shall it be. Your Lord says, it is easy for me, it is simple for me. And so that we may make him a sign for mankind and a mercy from us, and it is a matter already that is decided by the Almighty. So he says this is simple, bringing forth of a child without a father, that is easy for God, easy for Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And the ayah after that says, فَحَمَلَتْهُ فَانْتَبَذَتْ بِهِ مَكَانًا قَصِيًّا. Thus she conceived him, then withdrew with him to a distant place. فأجاءها المخاض إلى جذع النخلة قالت يا ليتني مت قبل هذا وكنت نسيا منسيا. So here the birth pains, they brought her to the trunk of a date palm. She said, I wish I had died before this and become a forgotten thing beyond recall, due to the extreme worry she had that she got pregnant. And then people, they're going to mock at her, raise questions and accusations at her. So she was worried. Now the points that we learn from this ayah as well says that the angel appeared in a human form, blew at her, and she got pregnant. Due to the worry and fear of being accused, and those around her were not aware of this unfolding and the pregnancy that she is going through, a pregnant woman, she needs a lot of rest and care and an atmosphere safe and sound. Now she went through such a tough time. The atmosphere wasn't there. She was pregnant. She was homeless. She was going every here and there, and then she was in pain and distress. So here the Almighty, He says that an atmosphere safe and sound is required for someone who is pregnant. Now there are so many things that are mentioned in the tafasir as to the place where she went. She came out of Bayt al-Maqdis and she went to a place where she sat by the palm, and then she shook the palm, and then fresh dates, they were provided to her, they were available for her. Now the place, where did she go from here, from Bayt al-Maqdis, or when, and who was the first to know about her pregnancy, and how did she get pregnant, are all questions. There's a debate among the Mufassirin, and there are riwayat also that are mentioned, and there is a lot of debate there. So we will not be going through that channel, through that path. So Quran has not addressed any of these issues, so we will also not get into them. Sometimes the choicest and the most beloved of the Almighty's servants, they have seen the most tests and difficulties. Some of the difficulties that Hazrat Maryam salamullahi alayha, she went through, were like being accused, and then pessimism of the people, pregnancy and delivery all alone and away from everyone, in solitude and homelessness. And then the other thing we learn over here is that she did not have a shelter or place of rest, sought refuge by a tree. So raising and carrying a child without a father and in a time and place with that ill treatment of the people, it is not an easy task. Now the messages that we have from this ayah again says, God, the ultimate authority on all means and channels, for Him says in this ayah, Huwa alayya hayyinun, it is easy for me. It is simple for me. So He is the ultimate authority on every sabab, on every means, on every channel. So He can override them. He is above them all. He is the one who has to ultimately decide if that is to take place or not to take place. So here He says, although it's not going to fall within that same package or the channel of causes and effect, but you would see that this thing that is going to happen, Isa being born without a father, or the angel comes to blow a child into Hazrat Maryam salamullah alayha, Allah says, Huwa alayya hayyinun, all that is easy upon me. Huwa alayya hayyinun. Now the birth, the way Prophet Isa alayhi salam was born, is in itself the first miracle of Prophet Isa alayhi salam. وَلِنَجْعَلَهُ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ. So birth of Prophet Isa is also a miracle. Speaking of Prophet Isa in support of her mother is a miracle. So all of these miracles, they take place before the birth and after the birth of Prophet Isa alayhi salam. Now, the third message that we get from these ayat is that performing extraordinary tasks and miracles, it's from among the descriptions and the attributes of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, and in line with the education of man too, where it says Rabbika, that is your Lord, Rabbika. The existence of Prophet Isa alayhi salam is mercy, and whoever revives, enlivens this faith in God is amongst revives this faith and iman amongst the mankind. He is among those who, upon them, definitely there is the mercy of Allah. In this ayah it is rahmatan minna. So Prophet Isa was providing all the care and guidance to the people. So he is rahmah. And Allah says rahmatan minna, that is that mercy who was from us. So no one can be an obstacle to whatever he wants to do. Kana amran maqdiya. So if you have a Quran at home and then your Quran recitation, and if you want to work on these ayat, you can take this little ayah and work on it. Kana amran maqdiya. That is, it's a task that is certain and it will definitely happen. So what qaza and qadar? It means that that what Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala has decreed and destined, that will happen, and if at times needed, He may also override those channels and those asbab that He has created. Now, one of the other messages that we get is that at times people who are chaste and pure, to be safe from allegations and being accused, they should distance themselves from the people. Where in this ayah it has been mentioned makanan qasiyya, that is, so that people, they don't mock at her, that people don't backchat her, do not accuse her. So here what she does is that she secludes herself, she takes herself away, makanan qasiyya. So at times the problems that emerge are to open new ways of the khair and goodness from Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. Whenever you find that there is a tough ride ahead, or there is a dead end that I see and nothing coming up from these dead ends, it is Allah. He wants to open a new path for you. So that is how He prepares and avails these nights and days in this learning, so that people, they get aware. Alright, now the other thing that we learn from this ayah is that the problems that emerge are to open new ways of goodness and khair. The worry of labor that that also resulted her in finding new ways to fresh dates, fresh fruit. Here says jiza'in nakhlati, that is, she shook those date palms or the palm tree. There she was asked that, hold on, pluck that fruit, and she took the fruit. Jiz'an nakhlati lillah, that is, hold on to the fruit of that palm. At times you cannot even share your own secrets with your near loved ones, and seeks the death instead, when she says that ya laytani mittu qabla hadha, I wish I had died. So because of all these rumors and allegations and talk that people are having, she desires to be dead. Ayah number 24, فَنَادَاهَا مِن تَحْتِهَا أَلَّا تَحْزَنِي قَدْ جَعَلَ رَبُّكِ تَحْتَكِ سَرِيًّا. So thereupon He called her from below her, and says that, do not grieve, your Lord has made a spring to flow at your feet. So that is another miracle that takes place upon the birth of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, that Allah instructs a stream to flow under the feet of Hazrat Maryam alayhi salam. وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكِ بِجِزْعِ النَّخْلَةِ تُسَاقِطْ عَلَيْكِ رُطَبًا جَنِيًّا. Here says, shake the trunk, shake that palm, and freshly picked dates, they will drop upon you. Quite a few messages over here and points to be noted. First of all, Sariya, that was mentioned in this ayah number 24. فَنَادَاهَا مِن تَحْتِهَا أَلَّا تَحْسَنِي that the caller said from below her, Allah tahzani, do not be afraid, do not be aggrieved. قَدْ جَعَلَ رَبُّكِ تَحْتَكِ سَرِيًّا, that indeed your Lord has made spring to flow at your feet. So this is another bonus given to Prophet Musa and Prophet Ibrahim also, when he left Hazrat Hajar and Ismail by the Kaaba. Hazrat Ismail also, he rubbed his feet to the ground, and there the Zamzam, it gushes, and in thousands of years till today it has been flowing. وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكِ بِجِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ تُسَاقِطْ عَلَيْكِ رُطَبًا جَنِيًّا. Shake the trunk of the palm tree, freshly picked dates will drop upon you. So the points to be noted, first of all, Sariya means a small stream, Sariya. And Janiyya, that was mentioned in this ayah, it is a ripe fruit. When the time of a fruit has arrived and it's ripe now, you have to go and pluck it from the tree. So that fruit which is ready and ripe and it's time for it to be plucked from the tree, it's called Janiyya. Janiyya. So Sariya means a small stream, Janiyya means a ripe fruit. Okay. Sometimes says that Nida and the call that was heard was the call of Jibreel alayhi salam. So all these voices that she hears, first of all it's the coming of the angel, and then that is the caller said, La takhafi, that you do not fear, you do not panic, and then shake the palm, and then Rutaban Janiyya. All these messages and announcements that were being heard by Hazrat Maryam. Some say, there's a debate over here, riwayat, they do talk that it's a very lengthy report, but then we do see the the statements of Ma'asumeen alayhimus salam. So here they say that this nida was from Prophet Isa alayhis salam. So some of the opinion says that it is Jibreel who was calling, but then when you look at the gist of the ayat, it is Prophet Isa himself, that Prophet Isa himself is speaking to the mother, speaking so that she gains strength, she is strong, that it is the baby speaking to her, it is the baby saying shake the trunk, shake that palm, it is the baby saying don't worry, it is the baby saying that look below your feet, there is a stream flowing, so that she gets stronger, and when she comes across with the people in town, she can easily transfer the message instead of the speaking charge of hers to the infant. He will speak on behalf of the mother. So after giving birth, women need rest, care and good food, and these points also have been mentioned in this ayah. Now good food mentioned in the ayah and riwayat for a woman who has just delivered a baby is fresh dates. Fresh dates. And for the dates also there are adab as to how many dates are you permitted to eat and what is the count. Here Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says that when you want to eat dates, always eat them in odd numbers. That is 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, like that. Don't eat 2 dates and then 4 dates and then 6 dates. No, you do it in an odd number. So if you're doing it in sets of 2, so you do that at a time when when it's going to be odd, not more than that. Just have 1, have 3, have 5, have 7. Don't have it in the even number. So after giving birth, a woman, she needs rest and care and good food, and all these points have been mentioned in this ayah. And good food mentioned here in the ayah and the riwayat of Ma'asumeen, for a woman who has just delivered, it's freshly picked dates. We have a hadith from Amirul Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam. He says that the best food and medication for a woman who has delivered is dates. Now the raising the hand option, inshallah, we'll work on that later. So Amirul Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam says the best food medication for a woman who has delivered is dates. So tests and trials that we see from Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, in all of these tests and trials we need refuge. And that refuge has to be sought in Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, and we learn that in this ayah. So when she was young, we see how these tests and trials from Allah, they are such shaking and then amazing also at times. That when she was young and she is in Baytul Maqdis, she is in the mosque and she is single, there Allah, He sends these tables from the skies to Hazrat Maryam. Now that she is pregnant, she is in need, she is homeless, and she is wandering, and she has no one around her. So here, and the food also, when she wants food, it is said to her, go and shake the trunk of that palm tree, you will get food. So here she has to work hard and then be alienated and then be homeless and also away from her loved ones, and then be pregnant, deliver the baby, and also find the food herself. So there's a trial and a test that she had in the mosque, all lavish and easily provided to her, and then there's a test and trial that she has to go with that everything she has to do it herself. So tests and trials that we have from Allah, we seek refuge in Him. Now, one of the ways that we can help ourselves, especially when it comes to these trials, is by reciting the last ayah of Surat al-Baqarah. Recite it every day, have it in your daily program. That says, آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله. So recite that ayah every day. It is an ayah which is an eye opener. It is an ayah which grants you a lot of barakah. It gives you hope. It gives you help. And then you ask Allah to not test you with all these difficult trials and tests in our life. When we say that La yukallifu Allahu nafsan illa wus'aha laha ma kasabat wa alayha maktasabat. Dua that we have in that ayah is that Rabbana la tu'akhizna in nasina. God, do not punish us if you forget something, aw akhtana, if we have done wrong. ربنا لا تحمل علينا إسرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به. God, that what I do not have the capacity to bear the pain, God, do not burden me with that. لا طاقة لنا به. واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا. Forgive us the wrong that we have done, and then واعف عنا أنت مولانا. You are our Mawla. فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. Help us over the faithless lot. So it's a beautiful dua. It's the last ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه. So there are many fada'il mentioned by the Ma'sumin alayhimus salam for reciting this ayah daily. So one of the other messages that we get from the ayah is that the best of food that can be given and provided to a lady who has given birth, it's dates. Hadith also from Amirul Mu'mineen says the same, that is the best of medication and the best of food for someone who has delivered is dates. And also it was mentioned how many you eat in sets of odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, like that. So that is the adab taught to us from the Prophet on eating dates. Now, the messages that we get from these ayat again says that the messages, the revelations, communications that we have from the unseen, from ghaib, they are an opening in all distress. When we are troubled and we get a message. So here, fanadaha, she was called in that distress, in the problems that she was going through. Fanadaha. For a chaste woman, there is no distress and pain more than being accused of being unchaste. And at that point here we see the term used in the ayah is La tahzani. La tahzani means do not be afraid, do not be. Now, for a pregnant woman, anxiety, distress, depression, all this is harmful. We find it out from this ayah where it says La tahzani. That is, you shouldn't be in grief, you shouldn't be sad, you shouldn't be anxious, you are pregnant. It says, La tahzani. So be comfortable, be easy, in tranquility. So tranquility and joy are required more than food, because many a times you may have the best of food, but then you are not happy, you're not satisfied, there's no tranquility. So the best of food also we may not be able to enjoy. So here what we understand from the ayah, La tahzani, that do not be afraid, that a woman who is pregnant or who has delivered, she needs a lot of care, she needs a lot of comfort, and then she needs to be given advice to not be anxious. So fresh dates are a good source of food for a woman who has given birth. So these were some of the lessons that we get from this beautiful surah and these wonderful ayat. Now, one of the other things that we learned here from these ayat, from 18 to 26, is that these paths and these channels that are formed by Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He does it. He does it in amazing ways, and if He wants, He can make them, He can break them. There is a Hadithul Qudsi, I may have had recited it. It's beautiful, I'd like to recite it again. You also see what the Almighty says. It says, يَقُولُ اللَّهُ Ta'ala fi Hadithul Qudsi. It's a Hadithul Qudsi, means word of Allah to one of the prophets. He says that, Abdi anta turid wa ana urid. My servant, you want something, I also want. You want and I also want. وَلَا يَكُونُ إِلَّا مَا أُرِيدُ. That what I want, that will happen. Abdi, فَإِن سَلَّمْتَ بِمَا أُرِيدُ كَفَيْتُكَ مَا تُرِيدُ. If you submit to what I want, says, I will suffice and give you what you want. وَإِن لَمْ تُسَلِّمْ بِمَا أُرِيدُ أَتْعَبْتُكَ فِي مَا تُرِيدُ. If you do not submit to that what I want, كَفَيْتُكَ مَا تُرِيدُ. فَإِن سَلَّمْتَ, if you submitted to what I want, I will make you that I make it suffice in what you want. وَإِن لَمْ تَسْلِمْ بِمَا أُرِيدُ. And if you do not submit to what I want, أَتْعَبْتُكَ فِي مَا تُرِيدُ. I will make you tired in what you want. Many times you've seen people, they get frustrated. They are tired of running and getting something done. It doesn't happen. Allah doesn't want that to happen. It will not happen. Urid, at'abtuka fima turid. I will make you tired. And then he says, summa la yakunu illa ma urid. And ultimately, that what I want, that will happen. Now, many a times we see that we are doing something and we know we have done it to the best of our knowledge, our ability, but then suddenly we see things are lost, we don't find them. Everything was right there on my shelf, in my desk, in my drawer, but then when I want, I don't find it at all. When I'm certain that I put it there, it should be there. Now, one of the ulama, it's Marhum Sheikh Rajab Ali Khayyat, one of the mystics who has passed away 70, 80 years ago. There are quite a few books also written for him by Ayatollah Ray Shahri. He says one of these men who was working in one of the departments in Tehran, his boss in one of the archive department, his boss says, go and get me that file. He comes, he says, yes, I've been working in this department for my life. So I know which file, where I have put, so I know the archive I'll be doing. And my job has been done properly all the time. Now the boss says, I want that file, comes and finds it, doesn't find that file, searches a lot, doesn't find, is shocked and shaken. No one comes into this place, it is only me, myself. And I know that I had put it here, and how come I don't find it there? The boss calls him, says, what did you do? Says, I'm working, looking for it. He says, it's extremely important. I need that file today. He says, I'm searching. As soon as I find it, I'll get it to you. Now says that I want it by the end of the day. He couldn't find the file. Says that if I don't get the file first thing on Saturday being the first day of the week, because Thursday, Friday is a holiday, He says, if I don't get the file on Saturday, it's going to have severe consequences on your work and what's going to happen with you. He's worried here, extremely worried. Come straight to the mosque. Now this is mu'mineen, that when they get stuck, they get help from salat and from fasting. Ista'inu bis sabri was salat. Comes to the mosque. As he's entering the mosque, someone passing by from outside the mosque comes and hits him like that, bumps into him, and says, the answer to this query of yours, this distress of yours, is with Shaykh Rajab Ali Khayyat. Now he just got shook, that how come he knows that I'm in distress, I have a problem. And how did he know? I never spoke to him, never seen that person ever. And how come he told me that? There's a secret of mine he knew. He says, I was so much wanting to get this, find this file. I didn't even bother to ask him who he was and how did he know what I want. Says, anyway, I've got a clue here. I went straight to the masjid where Shaykh Rajab Ali Khayyat is leading the prayers. Says, there were quite a few people there in front of me. I sat there in the queue to see him when it's my turn. And when I come to see him and I haven't said anything, I haven't opened the topic as to what the problem is, he said to me that you have to go and patch and fix your relationship with your sister that you have broken. Once you patch that relationship, that what you are looking for, you'll find it. Now, he had broken ties with his sister for 3 years. She also got widowed. Her husband passed away with 3 children living in Tehran, and was struggling and striving with all that difficulty, living a single life with 3 children. Says, I went to her and there was a little bit of pleading and crying between the two of us, and then I took some money, gave her some money, some grocery I did, and I said to her that I'll be visiting you very often, more frequently. And then that relationship that was broken between the siblings, that got patched. He says that I come to my office on Saturday and I start my work and sat on my seat, said Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I opened the drawer to start my work. The file that was lost is in that desk on the top. So sometimes we get blinded, we don't see, although we know that it's right there. We don't hear. Something is being said here by our ears, we don't hear. So Allah brings about such situations in one's life to educate him, to teach him. This happens to mu'mineen in particular, that you may come across such incidents a lot in your life. And that is the special favor of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala towards the believers. Now, there is a channel that He has created. There are means and measures that He has created. And in the month of Ramadan, we'll talk about this qadr and qadha that He has decreed. قَدْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدْرًا, that He has made a measure for everything. And وَاللَّهُ يَحْكُمُ لَا مُعَقِّبَ لِحُكْمِهِ, there is no repeller to His decree, Allah's decree. He has decreed everything. But sometimes it goes other way. He can override those means and channels. He can do whatever He wants. There you don't say the channel is as such, then how come He has overridden that? He can do what He wants. You do what you have to do. But ultimately it is what He has to do. Now when you look into the ayat also of Quran, Prophet Musa, Allah said to him, Usluk yadaka fi jaybik, put your hand in your pocket. تَخْرُجُ بَيْضَاءَ مِنْ غَيْرِ سُوءٍ, says that you would see that it will come forth white without evil. It will glow, your hand will glow. Say, and then draw your hand to yourself toward of fear. So these two shall be 2 arguments from your Lord to Fir'aun. How did that hand go in the pocket, come out and glow? That yad bayda, that glowing hand of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, was a miracle that Allah, when He wants things to happen, He makes them happen. Or for example, Allah, what He has done is, the Hajar al-Aswad that we have in the Mecca, by the Kaaba, which is the starting point of the Tawaf and the end point of the Tawaf, that used to be an angel. Allah made that angel into a stone and installed that stone by the Kaaba, and that is a witness for everyone who pays a visit there, who performs the Tawaf there. So that angel, who has now been transformed to a stone, is saving everything that is happening over there. So God, who can change an angel into a stone, that very God, He can change a stick into a snake. He can change that rope into a snake. He can, when that snake is held, He can change it into a stick. Now when you see a stick and the connection between to waters, there's no connection whatsoever. No matter how much you hit a stick on waters, nothing will happen. Here to Prophet Musa, he says, hit the stick on that water. It becomes a dry dock. Says, hit the stick on the rock. 12 streams flow from that. So that is how Allah, He makes those channels and means. He breaks all channels and means when He wants. Here also, He broke those channels and means. That is, the birth of Prophet Isa alayhi salam, that appearing of the angel there and then blowing into Hazrat Maryam, no touch has taken place. And then he says that I have come here, I'm an envoy and an ambassador of the Almighty God, come here to gift you with a child, and a son also is gifted to Hazrat Maryam. And here when it said to her, come and shake that palm, she shook the palm, and then rutaban janiyya, freshly picked dates, they fall upon her, and she takes them and she eats them. So Allah, He does that. He makes and He forms these channels. He breaks and He forms these channels. اضرب بعصاك الحجر, says in Quran, you hit the stone. فانفجرت منه اثنتا عشرة عينا, from it 12 streams they flow. Again says, أن اضرب بعصاك البحر, you hit the stick on the ocean, on the sea. فانفلق فكان كل فرق كالطود العظيم. And then you see that how it all changed into a dry dock. And then when he hit and the army of Fir'aun was following him, the waters also, they got again together, and all of them, they were drowned. At times you've seen that all of a sudden you start laughing. All of a sudden you start crying. What happened? Why did I laugh? Why did I cry? Here Quran says, Huwa adhaka, He made you laugh. Wa huwa adhaka wa abka, He makes you cry, He makes you laugh. Adhaka wa abka, that is Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, He makes that happen. At times you're doing something, you're saying your prayers, and you had intended before your prayers to recite a certain dua in your qunut. You raise your hand to recite that dua, but some other dua comes to your tongue. That is Allah, how He does to the mu'mineen. He wants him to recite this dua, and that dua emerges and comes to his tongue. Many a times you want to do something and you don't find a way out. Suddenly something comes to your mind and you are inspired. You may have seen these cases a lot in your life. For example, sometimes you've come out of your house, you are driving to your work, and suddenly something changed and you had to come back. You come back, either you've come back and you see the cooker is on, the door is open, the baby is not safe, or there's no one in the house, the baby is in danger. So these things, they happen. That is how Allah inspires, and that He can inspire anyone. So it isn't as such that one has to be a ma'asum for those inspirations to take place. For example, Hazrat Musa's mother, she is not a ma'asum, but then Allah inspired her, to not be afraid, to put the baby in the basket, to put the basket in the river, and the daughter also to follow the basket. Allah inspired her. Allah inspires these insects. To the spider, inspired that you go and make a web on the cave so that my Habib is safe. So all these communications do take place in this beautiful creation of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, this sudden laughter, this sudden cry. There is always something behind, which is we have to be careful and we have to look into it. So the channels, they are broken and they are made by Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. He makes them, He breaks them. In these du'as also that we recite after the Maghrib and Isha ta'aqibat, we do have this. And inshallah, if we get some opportunity and time, we will talk on this subject inshallah furthermore. وسبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.